It's basically no wiggle to it, so pretty good. Could be a little bit more snug, but that's pretty good. A little bit of shooting here. I'm going to shoot the low and then high, low, high, whatever. Full mag, just kind of see how I like that dot. I get why people like the larger dot. It feels like it doesn't bounce as much. But whenever you're stable, that means you can't be as precise. Again, it's not a huge deal. Probably somewhere around 2 to 3 MOA would be what I prefer. But, you know, to each their own. I don't hate it. It just is larger than it needs to be. All right. Alright, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be doing a quick video about this optic right here. This is the Osight K, as you can see, and on here you can just kind of see the general form of this optic. It takes a standard battery. It does not have the recharging system that some of the earlier ones did. This one has good clicky buttons on either side, and this one is designed for our RMSc footprint, as you can see on here, and it also comes with a 6 MOA dot, which personally I'm not a fan of, but some of y'all really like the larger dot. I personally don't like a larger dot just because it just covers more of the target, and I prefer something smaller to allow me to be a little bit more accurate. Now, whenever you're doing quick shooting on large targets, I think the 6 MOA dot maybe does a little bit better, but not enough in my opinion to justify not being able to take those, you know, precision shots, you know, with your pistol whenever you need to, or distance shots. So again, my opinion, you may like the 6 MOA dot. I will say one nice thing about that size of dot that I wasn't expecting was I have astigmatism, because, you know, basically everybody that wears glasses or contacts does to some degree or another. And a lot of the red dots out there that are smaller will kind of have a little bit of a starburst to them, especially whenever you turn up the brightness. This one does not. This one actually looks like a nice, crisp, clear, now you can't tell on camera, but to my eye, it looks like a nice, crisp, clear dot. It does not starburst at all, like a lot of my other ones do. So that's maybe a benefit. I don't know if that's just this optic or if that's the size of the dot, but that was something I noticed that I liked. All right, as I said, it does fit on the RMSc footprint, but this one is not an enclosed emitter. This is an open emitter, and because of that, they're able to make it a decent amount cheaper than some of the other options out there. Now, they did make this one a little bit beefier on the size of like the body right here, and I'll compare it again. Here is one of the, actually this is a better one. So this is the Osight, which one was this? The S, the recharging one. But you can see on here, it's substantially thicker. They're both made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, so I don't think durability is going to be an issue. Again, I tested this. You should go watch a review on, well, I made a video dropping all these LPVOs with these red dots on top of them while on a rifle on concrete to see if they would break, and this one survived just fine. It only had a small little crack way down there at the very, very bottom, which you can see. But that's all it had to drop this thing twice. So I think the housing on this one will probably be just fine. They corrected some of the maybe, you know, earlier issues that they had with their very first optics. So durability wise, I think it'll be just fine. I also racked it a bunch, as you can see right here, on concrete to see if I could get it to lose zero or, you know, break or whatever, because I've had optics break just doing simple stuff like that before. It does have built-in sights, which I like. It does sit low, which allows you to use these as sights, or you can just use your standard iron sights, you know, and ignore these if you wanted to, or, you know, maybe your pistol's wildly off, you need to adjust it. You might want to use your basic iron sights, not this, but it does come on there, which is nice. All right, so I know I jerked one of those just ever so slightly. That was this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, when I'm not taking my time, a roughly 2-inch circle at about 10, maybe 12 yards, somewhere in that range, with ammo that is not exactly the most accurate out of this gun. If I need to, I'll switch over to the Blazer, which is actually accurate, but I would say that's pretty consistent. Let's beat the snot out of the thing and then see if it holds zero. That simple test should not cause any gun optic to lose zero. It does not look like it lost zero. It's still lined up basically in the exact same spot. Let's fire 5 more rounds and see if that's true. 1, 2, 3, because there's 2, 4, I don't know where the 5th one is, but it's somewhere in that group. Scratch the snot out of it. Let's see. Does not look like it lost 0 based on the iron sights. Let's hit it a few times. Again, it's unloaded right now. It does look nice and round. I don't know, so my astigmatism, because I do have a slight astigmatism. I like the dot from a astigmatism standpoint, but I don't like it from a precision standpoint. Again, maybe it's just me. So it did hold 0. That was my first shot that was 100% left. I called that one. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So nice tight group right there. Now again, I'm not a huge fan of open emitter optics because stuff can get down in there. However, for a concealed carry pistol, I think it's less of an issue just because the only thing that's really going to get in there is lint and whatnot, you know, from your shirt and, you know, holstering and unholstering all the time. So I don't think that's a huge deal for a concealed carry, which this is designed for. However, I would still prefer an enclosed emitter. So personally, between the two of these, I would still rather get the S model. Yes, this is taped together so I don't lose the screws. But I prefer the S model just because it's enclosed and it's just as durable as anything else. So it's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it, you know, in my opinion. However, you know, this right now is on sale for like $125-ish, I think. I don't know when this video is going to be posted. It might be posted by the time that they're still doing the sale, but right now it's on sale for like $125. It's normally like $150-ish, I think. And this one I think is a little bit more expensive than that. I want to say it's like $175 maybe. Maybe they're the same price. I don't know. If they are the same price, I'd go with this one. However, if you like a bigger dot, you know, this does give you that option. All right, I did shoot this, you know, not a huge amount. I just put a couple boxes through it. I don't shoot these or with these optics a lot anymore. I don't do long-term durability tests. If you're looking for that, you need to go somewhere else with a YouTuber that, you know, gets free ammo basically, because I do not. But I will go over kind of what it comes with and my general impression of it. So it does come with a couple spare screws right here for the battery tray, which I like because most companies don't include that, and that's the easiest screw to lose because it's really, once you put your optic on there, this little battery tray screw is about the only thing you're ever tightening and undoing. You're never going to really, you know, undo the screws that are holding it down. So I like that they include extras. Now the features on here, as you can see, it is 7075 T6 aluminum. There's your drop rating, the waterproof rating, the temperatures, all that kind of stuff. There is your brightness settings. It does have 10. I found it to be perfectly adequate in complete sunlight. I actually had it down a couple notches. I think I had it on maybe power level 8 most of the time whenever I was shooting. It does have a memory function. One thing I do like about Osight is they do include the torque specs, and it comes with a bunch of different screws, and it tells you the torque specs for all of them. You need to get yourself a torque wrench or torque screwdriver, whatever it's called, that has an inch-pound, so you can properly do this without screwing up anything. They also show you, you know, how to zero it. It comes with stickers. Now, when I was shooting this and testing this, I did torque it down to their spec, and the screws did not come loose. I did witness mark. You can see my Sharpie marks right there and right there, just to make sure that the screws did not come loose, and it did not. It did not lose 0. At this point, I trust Osight to make an optics that will hold 0 under, you know, most abuse. Even whenever I drop these things in relations to where it was, you can kind of see it's crushed in a little bit. It didn't appear to lose 0. Granted, I didn't test it on a rifle, but whenever I dropped their optics on my pistols and, you know, racked against stuff, none of them to date have lost 0. Now, longevity-wise, again, you know, they got to develop their own track record, you know, like Holosun did initially. But so far, it seems like they're making a pretty good optics. We will just have to see how well they hold up over time. And as I mentioned before, it does come with this little screwdriver set right here, which I would only use this thing on. Do not use the torque setting unless you're just, you know, removing something, because you're not going to know what the torque value is using this. So I don't like things like this. I wish they just made it without that, but I understand why they did it, because, you know, they have to include, I guess, something. It does come with screws and a nice little box that, you know, that comes apart here, so you can use these boxes for other things, like, which is what I did. I just shove all my screws in these. I have a bunch of these boxes now, but it does come with multiples of each, and it comes with a spare, you know, of each of 3 sets. Or I guess technically it comes with 2 sets when it comes with a spare. But if you're like me, on certain model of guns, it may require a shorter screw and a longer screw, like on Glocks. That way you don't press down on the extractor bar inside the gun with too long of a screw, preventing your gun from, you know, functioning. So they include different length screws, so you can use whichever screw length you need for your guns, which is a nice touch. I really like that. And a quick size comparison. Again, here is the SE model, so you can kind of see it's basically the same size, just a little bit thicker, so it's probably a little bit more durable, I would say. Here is the massive Siley, what was this model? The Cat EDG. These are both the same footprint, mind you, but again, this thing is just massive, but it's probably the toughest out of all these optics. But as you see, it's fairly large. This one would look a lot better and fit a lot better on a pistol. Just to give you a general idea of what it would look like compared to one of their original. This one's broken. Not to this one's fault. Here, we'll just use another one. There's screws in this, so I'll have to be careful not to lose them. But here's like their full-size optic, so you can kind of see just, you know, how much smaller it is. And let's just get a standard red dot. Again, you can see it's a little bit smaller, and it's designed to fit for, you know, concealed carry guns that have the RMSc footprint, so that makes sense. The size-wise, I think is perfect. It's almost identical size-wise to the HoloSun EPS carry. I would say it's nearly identical. I did not bring that out here. It's inside in the safe right now, so I can't get it. But size-wise, it's almost identical, except this one, again, is not enclosed. But, again, it's about 125 to 150 bucks compared to the EPS as roughly, what, 350-ish, I think, if I remember correctly. So, again, substantially cheaper. So maybe you have multiple concealed carry guns and you can't buy something that's, you know, maybe that expensive for all of them. You know, this might be something to consider. Again, I still prefer, you know, the SE. However, you know, this is not necessarily a bad option if the features on here are what you're looking for. So would I recommend this? Yeah, honestly, at this point, I've used enough of their optics. Again, longevity-wise, it's still my only question because I don't put enough rounds through these things over, you know, long periods of time to test whether or not the internals will hold up. I imagine they probably would, because I haven't been seeing tons of, you know, reviewers saying, oh, that's falling apart on me now that I've had it. I've seen a couple of commenters saying that they had issues with theirs, but, you know, it's kind of like Amazon reviews. You can't really trust it because you mainly only get people that don't know what they're talking about, or people that, you know, broke their own thing and then they're complaining about it. So I don't necessarily trust those, but, you know, there are some of those reports out there. However, I have not seen any issues with these. And as you can see, I've abused these things pretty hard, which kind of replicates long-term testing to some degree. It doesn't, because the internals, again, you know, eventually every optic or electronic will rattle itself apart on the insides, you know, because vibrations will slowly break anything over given enough time. You know, how long it, you know, takes depends on the quality of the internals and, you know, how they're held together, epoxied or whatever. But all in all, I do like these optics. I still prefer, again, my EPS carry, but it's, you know, 2 to 3 times the price of these. So you kind of have to pick, you know, whether or not you want to go with something that's proven at this point, or you want to, you know, take a chance on something that appears to be fine, you know, based on my testing, but, you know, save 2/3 of the money. So again, it's up to you. In full disclosure, Osight, there's a little bug right there. Osight did send me this optic for free. They also sent me another model that's coming out. I don't remember what model. I think it's their full size one. That's for an RMR cut, if I remember correctly, but it got like lost in the mail or something. So eventually I'll get that and I'll review it, but that's why I haven't released this video earlier. I would have if I knew that I wasn't going to get that one, but they did send it to me. So, you know, full disclosure there, I don't take money or anything from these companies. But if you have any questions about this optic, or, you know, want me to test something in a certain way, you know, kind of let me know. I'm slowly getting tired of doing YouTube stuff, just because it's not worth my time anymore. I just don't have enough time to do it. And again, I don't really make any money doing this. So maybe I'll keep doing videos every now and then, maybe once a month, maybe once every other month. I don't know, whenever I get time, but I'm kind of not enjoying going to the gun range anymore because I'm just testing stuff all the time. So if you start seeing less and less videos, that's why. I'm just getting burnt out. Maybe I'll pick it back up again in the future, or maybe I'll just do some reviews of stuff I've had forever, and I can just give you, you know, no range footage because I haven't been recording it, but, you know, just give you my kind of rundown of some of the different stuff I do use, you know, like my IR lasers, illuminators, all that kind of crap. But if you appreciate this kind of content, again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff helps out a bunch. I appreciate y'all watching, and have a good one.